How's everybody doing today? My name is Jared Black. I guess you could call this a Jared Black podcast. It's my first attempt, my first trial, so we'll see how it goes. But I love sports, so I wanted to go ahead and start my own podcast. I spent a lot of time watching sports, as many of you who know me may know, and also just listening to interviews and podcasts and things of that nature. And I see that I just feel that I can also do it. Like, I feel like sometimes I know what they're going to say before they even say it. So I just want to try it out as a little hobby and then see where it goes. So this is the first episode. I guess we're just going to start it off. We're going to start with the NBA playoffs, and we're going to start with the Eastern Conference side. So the Heat and the Celtics, and then obviously we got the Mavericks and the Warriors on the other side in the Western Conference Finals. Game 1 happened yesterday for this series. The Heat won. It was a great game, though. 39-14 run in the third quarter for Miami. Without that run, they definitely would have lost the game. They've been a big third quarter team this whole playoffs. And I'm sure Boston knew that coming in, but without Marcus Smart and Al Horford as well, they couldn't balance it at all. They just got ran out of the gym in the third quarter. Miami's pressure really just started getting to them way too much. And they just couldn't really slow it down. They were getting very sped up. Jimmy Butler obviously had a huge game, 41 points. He's just been magnificent this playoffs. And over the last couple years, honestly, we saw him in the bubble do some really special things and carry the Heat to the finals. But yeah, he's a great player. You can't deny that. His tenacity, his energy that he brings, you could just tell that he's completely invested in basketball, and I think that's very important. Some guys don't really care as much. They just know that they're gonna be on vacation in a couple of days and stuff like that. But I appreciate Jimmy's passion. That's why he's one of my favorite players personally. Tatum, 29 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I think we're really seeing what Tatum can eventually evolve into. He's a superstar. We saw it a couple years ago, 2018 against LeBron and the Cavs. He was almost able to bring them to the finals. But he's just been amazing. Tatum just doing it on both sides of the floor. I'm sure Ime Udoka, from the Celtics head coach, I'm sure he has a lot to do with getting Tatum to give 100% on both ends of the floor. But he's just been magnificent. Tyler, and then for the Heat, we got Tyler Hero, 18 points. That was huge for them. He's really been struggling lately, especially in that last series, a little bit in the Toronto series as well. Max Strus, the Heat just have great role players like Max Strus, 11 points, Gabe Vincent, 17 points, and this without their starting point guard and Kyle Lowry. So next game we'll really get to see how this series is going to shape out, in my opinion, as long as Marcus Smart and Al Horford are able to come back from their injuries. The Celtics defense will be a lot better. I don't see Jimmy Butler getting 41 points again with the defensive player of the year being on the floor, Marcus Smart, and then obviously Al Horford brings us a lot on the defensive end as well. For the Celtics, 24 points from Jaylen Brown, 7 for 17 from the field. He's been a little bit too inconsistent. I just think that if he brings his consistency every night, because you know that you're going to get it from him on the defensive end of the floor, but sometimes on the offensive end, his shot isn't very consistent. So I think Jaylen Brown needs to be better all around if the Celtics can make a run for a championship. Obviously, they're doing that now, but you got to win it for it to mean anything. I think that's where all 4 of the teams remaining are at. Grant Williams, 7 points, 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Last series, we saw him shoot 18 threes in one of the games, and now we're seeing 1 for 2 from 3. I think that just goes to show you the difference in, the Miami Heat's culture. The Bucks, they maybe thought analytically and were like, okay, yeah, if we leave Grant Williams open, he'll only hit this amount of threes and we'll still be able to win the game. Miami they just smothered the Celtics. They no open threes for anybody, just flying around on defense, and I think I appreciate the Miami Heat's culture in that way because they're always playing hard. And I wanted to go out on this note with the Heat Celtics series. I wanted to ask you guys a question. Do you think Tatum or Butler is better right now? And I had to think about this for a long time because Jason Tatum is one of my favorite players, along with Jimmy Butler. And they both bring a lot offensively and defensively. Obviously, Jason Tatum has picked it up in the last few years, especially this playoffs. But I think that for my team, for me to have the best chance to win, I want Jimmy Butler on my team just because of the kind of player that he is. I think Tatum, obviously, he's younger. He's 24, so he'll develop into something way better than Jimmy Butler will ever be, on the offensive end at least. But for both sides of the floor and just a culture and just what he brings to the team, I would want Jimmy Butler on my team. I know that if Jimmy Butler's on my team, then my team has a chance. And I'm going to leave it at that for the Heat-Celtics series. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the Warriors-Mavericks. It's going to, in my opinion, I think it comes down to the Warriors' defensive game plan. Are you going to let Luka just play one-on-one, which is, he'll end with 70 points if you do that? Are you going to send multiple bodies at him and then hope that the role players are missing threes? You know, it's a tough situation because Dallas is one of those sneaky good teams. Like, people don't really think their role players are that good. Like, people see Dallas in the Western Conference Finals, are like, we would have never predicted that. But whenever you have one of the greatest players in the world and then you have sidekicks alongside him that know how to play with a player like that, like Spencer Dinwiddie, like he's played with KD, he's played with Kyrie, you know, and then just down the line, they just have guys that want to play hard and just know their role. Like Finney-Smith, he knows his role. Like he's a two-way player. He's going to give you some threes. He'll give you some on the defensive end as well. Jalen Brunson, like he's going to play defense. He'll get you 20 points. Maxi Kleber, like he'll work for rebounds, hit some threes. So I think that their team is deep, and I think that they all mesh very well together, and they all came together at the best time. That's the biggest thing about the playoffs. Who's going to come together at the most important time and peak at the most important time? And that was the Mavericks this year. They're that surprise team. So I think the Warriors are definitely going to have to worry about Luka and his playmaking abilities. Along with Wiggins and Jordan Poole, those two are going to need to be a little bit more consistent. I mean, you could even throw Klay in there. Like, Klay's been great. We've seen some glimpses of his old self this season into the playoffs a little bit. He had like one big game, one huge game. But those three players are very big for Golden State because Curry's gonna get 20 at least. He's gonna get to his spots. But those other guys are going to have to be hitting for them to win this series for sure. And then for the Mavericks, I think it's important that they steal one on the road. I think that tonight is being recorded the night of Game 1, before Game 1. I think that they'll steal one tonight in Golden State. But that's critical for them. If they can't go into Golden State and win one game and then they go down 2-0. Like they did that with Phoenix, but Golden State is a different type of beast in my opinion with the spurts that they go on. Just the spurts of greatness. And then also for the Mavericks, I just want to touch on Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd has evolved a ton as a coach. I know there was a lot of questions whenever he came in about, did they only hire him because he was a great player for the Mavericks, and is this the right coach for Luka and all this stuff? But those guys have done a great job of working together and putting it all together. And obviously Kidd and the rest of his coaching staff have done a phenomenal job, specifically defensively, because with Luka on your team, everybody knows that Luka does not like to play defense. So for him to get the other four guys to be able to be on that level when you have a guy that's not a great defender is remarkable, especially to make it this far in the playoffs. It's impressive for sure for Jason Kidd and that whole team. So I'm gonna finish off with my predictions of these two series. I thought about it for a while. I think Heat Celtics. I think the Celtics will just have too much star power, too much defense. Whenever they get all their players back, and I think they'll take that one in 6, maybe 7. And then for the Mavericks Warriors series, I think I'll surprise some people with this one. I'm going to take the Mavs. I think Luka's just unstoppable. I think there's no way that you could stop Luka. And then if you stop Luka, then he's just going to, just kick it. And then, those role players are just going to have wide open opportunities. And these are NBA players, so sometimes people forget about that. So I'm going to take the Mavs in 7. I think they'll take that in 7. Then, I'll talk to the finals. I'll talk about the finals when we get to the finals. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're here, this is day 1. So if you're here, you're a real one. I appreciate it. And I hope that this is only the beginning. So I hope you guys have a good day.